Hello everyone. I am Rashmi, and today we are joined by an amazing, inspirational, and a very brilliant personality, Miss Parsa Mufti. She is one among the five scholars selected for Schwarzman Scholarship, and I'm very proud to say that she is the first resident from Jammu Kashmir to get selected for the scholarship, which is an history in itself. I welcome you, ma'am, and many congratulations to you for this huge achievement.
Hi, Rashmi. Thank you so much. And thank you for having me on the show.
Thank you, ma'am. So, to introduce her, she is a lawyer and political strategist and works for Samruddha Bharat Foundation, New Delhi, where she works with leaders across various political parties. She is also the head of the Twist, which has more than 3.9 lakh subscribers on YouTube. Such a versatile personality, ma'am. So, I'd just like to begin with your background, like where you come from and from where you completed your schooling and then higher education. Also, I have heard that first you choose economics as your field and later you shifted towards law, which is a transition in itself. So, I really want to know the reason behind this transition and what made you do this.
I was born and brought up in Jammu. This is where my father was posted. So, despite being a Kashmiri, I've lived most of my life in Jammu. And I went to a presentation convent. वहीं पे my schooling happened there, and after that I went to Delhi for my college. So yes, I did study economics first. I actually really wanted to become an economist when I was in school because I used to get good marks, and especially in my boards I got, I don't know, 95 or something. So I was very enthusiastic about studying that. I particularly enjoyed macroeconomics, and I thought that I'll be able to do good in this field. But in college, you grow up a little and you understand that the subject, when you study it in school, it's different, and when you have to study it in greater detail, it turns out to be something beyond your what you like. So it got increasingly mathematical in college, and maths was not my forte. So I realized that this is not the field for me, and if I were to do masters in it, it would be, I don't think I'd be very happy doing it. So that's why it took me some time to understand that I actually want to go for law. It wasn't sudden or it wasn't overnight, but I was very gravitated towards constitutional values. Like when I used to read about something in the news about the constitution and this and that, people cite the constitution all the time, but nobody really understands it. So that's what drew me. And I also really liked criminal law. So even fictional books that I used to read, I really enjoyed the criminal thrillers, and where there was a little bit of law thrown in, something like John Grisham. I really enjoyed that. So I thought, oh, law could be a good option for me, and it did turn out to be a good option because I really enjoyed those years.
Okay, that's truly nice. And I feel अब जो भी इकोनॉमिक्स पढ़ना चाहता है और शी शुड नो कि मैथ्स पढ़ना पड़ेगा, सो तभी इकोनॉमिक्स को आपको ऑप्ट करना चाहिए. Okay, that's the first lesson. So also, ma'am, as you have worked with Samruddha Bharat Foundation, so could you please explain us what is the SBF and how one can get into it?
Samruddha Bharat Foundation is actually a very unique organization. There is no other organization in India which is doing the kind of work that SBF is doing. And I'm not just saying that because I work there. That's precisely the reason that I chose to work there. After my law, I could have, I wanted to become a human rights lawyer. So I thought that such a because it lets you do what you can do at a think tank, do in a political party, what you can do in an NGO, and all the while you can learn as much as you do in a university. So it is genuinely, I mean, it has been a life-changing experience for me to work here. I have worked with politicians, with academics, with activists, and it's not just work. Every minute of the job you're learning new things, you're gaining new information, and which normally you would never be able to do. So it's like a university and a job rolled into one. At least it's been that way for me. Truly a life-changing experience, and it's to say it in a simpler way. It is not just a think tank. It is not definitely not an NGO. We are doing political work, but not through electoral politics. We are not something like IPAC. We are not contesting elections, but we are trying to do ideological work. We're trying to influence people's thinking. We're trying to bring people closer to what our founders' idea of our country was, what they imagined our people to be, our citizens to be like. So, like, for example, the Constitution specifies our fundamental duties. Now, these duties they aren't been imposed on us. These are just, we've been given examples of what we should follow ideally. Now, how do we bring people closer to that idea? How do we implement that in our daily lives? And again, what kind of India do we want it to be? We want it to be a progressive, liberal, secular India, right? As has been stated in the Constitution. So how do we get people closer to that? So we do that through political projects, we do that through ideological projects, books, films, opinions, like the Tryst that you spoke about, our YouTube channel, videos, panel discussions. Then what kind, we influence decisions in the parliament. We advise policymakers on what stances to take in parliament. So these are the kind of things that we are doing, and we are the change is tangible. It's not just something theoretical. We can actually see that change. We've worked with so many activists on various issues, so the changes are genuinely tangible.
Okay, so ma'am, is there any eligibility criteria to get into Samruddha Bharat Foundation, or like how can like a person like me get to work with SPF?
The eligibility criteria isn't much. I mean, of course, you have to be educated, but even if you're not, we are fully open for volunteers. It's the kind of work that if you're passionate about it, you will be taken, no questions. For example, like you're still in college, right? So you can intern at SBF, and we're very open to interns who, because we usually don't get applications from people who just want to get do an internship for the heck of it. We genuinely get applications from people who are very, very passionate about their respective fields and also about the country, to bring genuine substantive change in the country. So these are the kind of people that we are also constantly looking for. So for students, for people who are still in college, you can intern with us, and we have a Bharat internship, which is a paid internship. And I think in that 1 month also you'll get to learn a lot, and we can, for as long as you want, you can intern. Then of course there's the volunteer option, where you can just volunteer. You won't be paid. You'll be called on a project to project basis, or an event to event basis, depending on what we're doing. Then of course you can work with us, but for that, of course, you have to be at least a graduate. And then depending on your application and your interview, your suitability would be decided.
Okay, I think it's such a great opportunity. If someone will work with SBF, you will get to work with a lot of different topics. So, can you suggest some other like organization like SPF where we can work with on these matters like constitutional values or for the say, policy issues? Some other organizations.
Although I genuinely think that there is no, I don't think any other organization is doing the kind of work we're doing. But maybe on different verticals, you can say, like, for example, if you're doing policy work, and if you're specifically interested in policy work, you could work in PRS. I mean, you could go for the LAMP fellowship. You could work in any think tank. There are many think tanks, especially based out of Delhi, like Vidhi. So if you're interested in policy, then again, if you're interested in activism, and working with NGOs, then you can of course work in Nikhil Deji's organization, Shabnam Hashmi's organization, or Harsh Mandarji's organization. So I think these are the best options that we have. You can work with Jan Sarokar, and and then again, if you want to work with parties, then you can choose to individually work with a party you like, from Congress to CPI, depending on your inclination is. But then again, if you want to do all of this at once, you can join SBF.
That's truly great. And what do you think? How SBF helped you for getting this fellowship? Like, what kind of guidelines which you get at SBF, and that helped you for getting that Schwarzman fellowship?
I mean, it was all SBF. On an individual level, to be honest, I would never have had the confidence to even apply for the scholarship. But my peers, my director, uh, everyone has been so supportive. Everyone in this organization. I mean, the culture in itself in the organization is very, very encouraging. They want you to do better. They want you to do better, not just within the organization, but also outside of it. And they pushed me to apply. They pushed me, they helped me throughout the journey. I mean, it was a long and tedious process, but my colleagues, my boss, they were all very, very supportive during the process, and they helped me in any capacity that they could, and I'm very, very grateful to them.
Okay, so coming to Schwarzman Fellowship, as it is like an international award program, the process might be very, very, like very rigorous and difficult. So, could you please enlighten our viewers on this? Like, how can we try for this, and what is the eligibility criteria when we need to apply and all?
You can apply between the ages of 21 and 29. And of course, work experience helps. It amps up your application. And then any kind of extracurriculars that you've done, any activism or anything, you just have to prove basically that you have excelled in your field. It can be any field. That is why people at Schwarzman are from very different backgrounds. Like there are no two people from the same. You have artists, you have scientists, you have lawyers, engineers. I mean, there's a diverse group of people there. So you just have to show that you have been able to excel in your field and are going to be a future leader in your field. So for that, of course, for example, you are studying law, so you must have been doing legal internships. Then on top of those legal internships, if you work with something like PUCL, or if you show that you've done some pro bono work, and then again after that, you're done with your graduation, then you work in a good organization and you do well in that organization. You write a lot of legal articles. You do work related to it, which is just more than your 9 to 5 job. Then of course you'll be able to prove that you're a leader in your field, and they'll take you. So just these factors one has to keep in mind, that whatever you're doing, make sure that you're doing the best in that. Don't just restrict yourself to one or two things. Do multiple things. Dip your toes in all waters, and I think the saying goes that jack of all trades is a master of none. So try to definitely be the jack of all trades. You in this day and age, you can't just try to be the master of one. And because of course, post the pandemic, things have changed a lot. So it's better that we know how to do everything a little.
A little bit of everything. Okay. So, ma'am, as you said, a lot of work experience, a lot of internships in a particular field are required for this. My next question would be then, as you know, there are a very less internship culture here in JNK. I myself coming from there only. So I feel there is very less internship culture, very less exposure to such kind of extracurricular activities, and students really don't know about such kind of fellowships in general. They are just restricted themselves to few fields only. So what would be your advice to the students, and how will they get to know about such fellowships?
It is actually genuinely very sad, because I know for a fact, like even when we were in school in Jammu, extracurriculars, they're just interested in rote learning and forcing these CBSE books on you. Okay, learn this book and then you're good to go. Hardly anything else beyond that. And as a state, and quite sudden, even when it comes to jobs, there are hardly any jobs. You will also know that there aren't any private jobs, very limited scope. So of course, when there aren't any jobs, when there aren't any firms, how will there be interns? So I think students now should take the mantle. Um, in school or in college, push your the leadership in your schools and colleges to introduce you to fellowships, to put you in touch, because counseling is not very strong here. So I think we should push for our school counselors or our college counselors to introduce us to various options. To basically, our schools and colleges can sign MOUs with organizations, and they don't have to be necessarily organizations based in J&K. They can be from outside, because now everything has shifted to the laptop. You can do internships, fellowships from your laptop sitting at home. So if we tie up, if your college ties up with an organization, a few organizations, and then students, the best students, can go there and work, intern, volunteer, do whatever. So I think that's a good option. Of course, I think students need to be aware by themselves also, and I think it's not very difficult. It's not the early 2000s where you had to read magazines or newspapers to find something. Everything is in your phone. Students can find online. There is online there it's not mental health is a country, so there are so many opportunities. So just learn to be aware, look at other people, look at the toppers in your class, look at the most active person in your class, and see what are they doing, how are they doing it. So try to follow their footsteps and ask them for guidance, or you can ask the professors in your college, what can I do, how can I be better. I think in college we have a more lackadaisical approach towards things, but it's up to us, what we do with our time. So but just try. The more awareness you have, then you'll know about more options. And as far as our state goes, again, we only will have to take the mantle. It's the students, it's of course the alumni, students need internship opportunities. So why don't you tie up with certain organizations and give them some options? So I think
Okay, so as you said, a lot of work experience and leadership qualities. Also, that was a question in my mind, as it is an international award program. Do we need any kind of language proficiency, like any certificate course on any particular language for it?
Uh, if you have had English medium education, then you don't need IELTS or anything. If you've studied in English in school and college, then you don't need IELTS. Otherwise, you will need IELTS to prove that you can, because of course the medium of instruction there is English. So it's not Chinese, it's English. So English proficiency is important. So that, and when you go there, they'll teach you Mandarin. It's a part of the course.
Okay, so you will get to know a new language also in some days.
Yeah.
Okay, and also I feel like I personally feel this beat any exam, the most difficult part for me is interview. And your interview is like a global level. A panel was there to interview you. So I just wanted you to share your interview experience with us. How was that day, and what questions being asked to you? Did you panic? And if yes, then how did you tackle that? Because in international and global interview, something very different from school, college interviews.
Yeah, that was a very, very nerve-wracking experience for me. When I got when I got the mail that I've been shortlisted, that in itself was such a happy, such a huge moment for me. For one day, I was very happy, but after that, I was scared. I was thinking, oh my God, how am I going to crack this interview? And if I lose out, if I don't get selected after this, it'll be even more sad now, because I cracked the first step and I genuinely don't want to be disappointed now. And because you don't know anything, and I had never been in a situation like this before, so I was so scared. But then I didn't have the time to be scared for too long, because I had to start preparing. So of course I asked my colleagues for help. My boss helped me, gave me some reading material. But then again, I needed to know the structure of the interview. They do give you some guidelines. I mean, the Schwarzman team, they give you some guidelines that do help you. So, but I looked online for something, maybe a previous scholar would have published something. So there, I found a YouTube video. There was only one YouTube video on the subject, and um, saw that video and I contacted that girl. She's from South Africa. She is a scholar from there. So I contacted her on Instagram and I DM'd her asking for help with the interview. And she was kind enough to help me. She was kind enough to give me tips. And in fact, we did a Zoom call. She suggested it. And I mean, I was just awed by her generosity and, the fact that she's taking out time to help someone. So she did, and she gave me some tips. She basically explained to me how it's going to go. So I had some idea of how the interview will be. Of course, you can't predict the questions or what they'll ask. So you just have to be mentally prepared for some possible questions, like, just make a list of things that you think they'll ask you and have some basic answers ready. You shouldn't practice. You have to be natural, because if you practice too much, then if you forget something, then you'll just start fumbling. So better to be natural. And the panel in itself was a heavy panel. I mean, I don't even know if I can tell you who was on the panel, but these were people, leaders from across the world. I mean, these were heavy duty people, like people from Boston Consulting Group, foreign ministers. I mean, it was a very heavy panel, and of course, I was very scared. But it was the interview went very well. I mean, I remember after the interview, I told everyone that, if after this interview I didn't get selected, then I can't do anything, because it was genuinely the best possible interview I could have given. Very, very good. I was very comfortable. Everyone on the panel was very kind, very nice. It was like a general banter. It wasn't a grilling session. It was a very lovely, wonderful conversation, and the interview just happened in that format. So it went well, and of course, it did went well.
Okay, that's great. And it's also nice that a girl from South Africa helped you without even knowing you. So I feel if a person take initiative, there are people to guide you. All we need is to take initiative first, right?
Exactly. That's what I was saying. I mean, we have to take the basic initiative to contact people, to be aware. One can't think that everything will come to you on its own. It doesn't happen like that. You have to be out there, put yourself out there, and seek information, seek knowledge. And there are people who will help you happily.
Oh, that's so great. And so, as you became the first one from Jammu Kashmir to get selected, which is truly an history in itself. So, how is this feeling to represent your state in international platform?
It is amazing. Honestly, it's just surreal. It still feels like, this is a dream. I just I've actually been very out of it for the past month, because I've been getting so many calls and messages, and I really wasn't expecting this kind of response. I thought, okay, if I get selected, that's a personal achievement for me. But everyone in the state has been so happy for me, and they are taking it as their achievement. Everyone is proud of me, and for the state, for the larger this thing, I'm very, very happy that people have responded like that. It's an honor for me that everyone is so happy about this.
Exactly, and we are proud of you, no doubt. We are really proud of you. You are now inspiration not for the state but for the youth of the whole country. And like, what advice do you wish to give to such people who are looking up to you now? Like today, we see students are just restricting themselves either to like to few professions only, to doctor, engineer, and if someone is very intelligent, then might go for civil services, right? So in this scenario, people don't know about fellowships, internships, and policy making or other work. So what would be your advice to students to look beyond 2 3 professions?
I would just say follow your heart. It doesn't matter what you want to do. If you want to be a doctor, if you want to be an artist, if you want to be a singer, but whatever you're doing, make sure that you want to do it. That is the first step. Because if you don't want to do it, there is no power on earth which will make it happen for you. You might succeed in, getting a good job or getting a good package, but if you're not happy doing what you do, you will never be the best at it. You will do it grudgingly, you will do it with a closed mind, and that is not going to be of help to you or to anyone else. So the first thing is to figure out what you like, what you want to do, and when you figure that out, then after that the other things follow, these internships, these articles, these additional steps that you have to take, these follow after you figured out what you want to do. So, and you also, I would like to specify this, you can't figure out what you really want to do in school. Don't think that, oh, 12th se pehle hi mujhe pata hoga ki what exactly I want to do. At the age of 16 or 17, I'll be able to decide my entire life and my future. It doesn't work like that. For myself, I would like to say that at the age of 25, I realized what I really want to do. Before that, I was just like, you know, doing whatever is coming my way. I didn't know exactly the future plan. Now I have a plan. Now I know what I want to do. So don't be so harsh on yourself. You're just 16, 17 in school. You don't know things. When I was in Jammu, I didn't even know half of the options that are possible for a person to do. It's after I went to Delhi that I realized, oh, the world is so big. There are so many more options in the world. And I didn't even know about them. So allow yourself the opportunity to grow, to have some exposure towards the world, then you will understand what you really want to do. So till then, follow your heart, do what you think is right in the moment, and eventually you will, discover your path in life.
ओके सो डिसीजन बहुत जल्दी नहीं लेना है, थोड़ा सा एंजॉय स्कूल लाइफ को करना है और उसके बाद एक टाइम देके खुद को चीजों को समझ के यू शुड टेक अ डिसीजन कि यस दिस इज माय गोल एंड दिस इज आई वांटेड टू अचीव. Okay, so continuing to this, like as you know, there are restricted options in Jammu Kashmir, and on the top of this, situation in Kashmir gets more worse when, like, should I say directly, then like in the field of education as well, it get hampered due to internet shutdowns. It get hampered due to a lot of other activities. So, what will be your advice to such students, or what you think any solution for this problem? Because the education get hampered, students don't get to study like the way other people are doing, right? And in particular in Jammu Kashmir or in any conflict zone area, the mindset of the students will is different as compared to other people, and students don't get much opportunities. So like how should these students come forward and like to follow your footstep? How should these students should come?
I genuinely feel like Kashmir, being the center of a lot of conflict, the students are doing the best that they can. We can't, it's not their responsibility after one point. They are doing the best that they can. The students are excelling despite going to school only 2 or 3 months for 1 year. Most of the time it's either winter vacation or summer vacation, and if not that, then there's an internet shutdown. Of course, the pandemic has worsened everything. So I think the students are already operating at their optimum capacity. Jitna wo kar sakte hain, they're doing that. Beyond that, it's the responsibility of our government, and they have to step up. They have to take, you can't just talk about Naya Kashmir. Where is the Naya Kashmir? And most of the success and progress of a state or the nation comes from the youth. So at least, if nothing else, if nothing else, at least give the students something good. Give them something to be proud of. Give them something that they would want. That is why everyone becomes disillusioned with the government. That's why everyone becomes disillusioned with democracy and with the political process, because they feel like, what is the point of voting? What is the point of getting involved in this process? Because we're not even going to get anything. There are no jobs. There is no development. There is literally nothing that can speak for itself. So what is the point of doing anything? So I think the government should focus on this now. Our students should not lag behind. They don't deserve to lag behind. They do the best they can with limited resources. Imagine the wonders they could do if they had all the resources that other students have.
Exactly. So as we are running short of time, my last question would be like, how do you feel about all the great things that you achieved today, and what are the plans forward now?
I feel very, very good. But again, I also feel like now there's a even bigger responsibility on me. I've gotten such a good response from everyone, and I have to maintain this now, and I have to not just maintain this, I have to do better now. I can't just be happy that I became a Schwarzman scholar. Of course, it is a big honor, but then I don't have to stop now. This is not the end of the road for me. This is just the beginning. So I need to work even harder to make everyone even more proud of me, and just do the best I can.
That's great. And what are the plans forward now? Do you like what after Schwarzman Scholarship? We really wanted to know your plans as well.
After coming back, I hope I'll be able to be part of governance in some way. Of course, the 24 elections are coming, and then after that, let's see what happens. Would I would love to be part of governance. That's, of course, I've spoken about it before, and not electoral politics, but let's see. After coming back, I'll be able to figure it out in a better way.
So thank you, ma'am, and it was really a great interaction with you. And I wish, I hope, and like I will get another chance someday to interview you once again, like be it in the government. So thank you so much for giving your precious time, and I wish you all the best for all your future endeavors.
Thank you, Rashmi. You're very, very sweet, and thank you for having me. And I wish you luck for your future as well. I can tell that you have a bright future ahead of you.
That's huge compliment. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.